Whether you're a seasoned pro or someone just starting out in CX, it's easy to get stuck in the weeds with your tech.
So I'd say the most common thing that we run into on a regular basis is lack of planning, and it sounds a little harsh, but I think it's the truth, and it's not a case of people not being prepared for what they think is going to come. It's not being prepared for everything that is going to come.
Some of the common pitfalls when planning your CX technology strategy and how to avoid them on this episode of the CX Leader Podcast.
The CX Leader Podcast with Steve Walker is produced by Walker, a business consulting firm that helps our clients unlock the potential of their customer experiences by placing the customer at the heart of all their business decisions. You can find out more at walkerinfo.com.
Hello, I'm Steve Walker, Chairman and CEO of Walker Information, and also the host of the CX Leader Podcast, and thank you for tuning in and listening this week. The CX Leader Podcast has become the resource for CX pros and business execs who want to leverage customer experience as their biggest competitive advantage. We explore the topics and themes that help business leaders like you leverage all the benefits of your customer experience and help your customers and prospects want to do more business with you. We're 2 episodes into our 5-part series on technology. We've explored the history of technology in CX and how you can effectively use it. But what about the pitfalls? If you're not careful, you can find yourself stuck in the mud, potentially wasting money on incomplete data and unreliable resources. I'm fortunate that I've been joined in studio today with 2 of my friends and colleagues, 2 Walker experts that have helped a lot of clients overcome problems like these, and they've probably seen a few things in their years, but Rich Boits and Ryne Fanning are both Vice Presidents of Technology Services here at Walker. Rich, Ryne, thank you for joining us on the CX Leader Podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks, Steve.
Rich, you want to just give us a little bit of background and your history and how you got here and to where you're at today?
So I started here at Walker 20 years ago this month. I came into the company as a software developer, working primarily on the online survey system and the online reporting application we had. As time went by, I changed focus slightly and began to work on custom client development to meet specific client needs that reached outside of the scope of our current applications. As time progressed from there, I started working more with our operations groups, working with offline reporting and our data analysis group. Now I'm working directly with our clients in a couple different capacities for smaller engagements, focusing on speed of delivery, making sure that we have a quality program that brings value to the client. On our larger engagements, working to do integrations using web service technology and the APIs that the products we work with offer to bring more operational data along with the experience data to bring more value to the program.
Man, you've seen a lot in 20 years, Rich. You've really just been part of the whole evolution of technology in this business. Ryne, if you don't mind, just give us a quick briefing on your background here at Walker.
I've worked here at Walker 10 years, and I started, just like Rich, I started as a software developer. And I have continually gotten my hands in more complicated projects as time has gone on. And now I work with integrating a lot of complex data with a lot of our clients.
So if I had to ask you 2 guys kind of how you split up your work between you, or what you guys do that's the same and what you do that's a little different, like what would you say, Rich, that Ryne's better at than you?
Well, there's a number of things, I'm sure. In general, we just split the work based on what our current load is, but we do have areas of specialty. Ryne does focus a lot on Salesforce type integrations, as well as other integrations with CRM platforms.
And Ryne, what's Rich better at than you?
Oh yeah, Rich is better than me at a lot of things, but especially advanced reporting needs and data services.
Good. Well, I know we're going to talk about the pitfalls of technology, but first of all, let's just kind of talk about what are the benefits. You know, from your perspective, and you really came into our business more as a technologist rather than a researcher or a customer experience person, but what do you think, or what do you see as the benefits of technology to this business? Ryne, you want to take that one first?
Sure. So technology can be a valuable asset in getting the right information in front of the right people. For example, a follow-up system can tell a salesperson if a customer had a recent bad experience, and it can be at the fingertips of that salesperson almost immediately.
Yeah, it's sort of
Unnerving?
well, no, I mean it's making the human resource more productive. And,
Yeah.
And what about you, Rich? What do you think is the real benefits of technology in this business?
So for me, it spans a couple different areas. For someone just coming into working on a program, starting a program from scratch from their organization, technology really helps us get that program off the ground much faster than what we would be able to do in the past. We're able to get questions answered from upper management. We're able to get some feedback from the customers that they weren't aware of before, and we're able to do it really fast, and we're able to get it in the hands of the right people. We're able to customize views into that data depending on your level in the organization so that people can take action on those insights right away. On the other end of the spectrum, the more complicated programs, I would say where the technology gets really important and really valuable is integrating it with your operational data. It almost takes your program to a whole different level when you can integrate it with the stuff that drives your business. So not just the experience questions, but the data that you use day to day to make every decision, that it kind of just merges the two together and it makes your program just so much more valuable.
And the tools really today help facilitate that, right?
Absolutely.
All right, so you guys have worked with dozens, if not hundreds of clients over the past 10 or 20 years. What's kind of the biggest oversight that you see in terms of implementing technology? What do you think are the kind of the common mistakes that people make? Rich, you want to hit that one?
So I'd say the most common thing that we run into on a regular basis is lack of planning, and it sounds a little harsh, but I think it's the truth, and it's not a case of people not being prepared for what they think is going to come. It's not being prepared for everything that is going to come, because a lot of what needs to be done at the beginning of a program depends very much on what you want out of the end. And there's a lot of time spent getting the right people involved and doing rework to build something that you could have spent a little bit extra time up front and had some good conversations and planned that out.
Right. Like if we want a regional scorecard to measure NPS across different regions, we obviously need to get that region information up front, or else we cannot produce that type of scorecard. We can go back and edit the data if we know the region later, but it's more costly and the timeline will probably slip.
Yeah, we in our last episode, we talked with Mike Grindstaff about getting ROI, and that was definitely one of his keys is, you begin with the end in mind. And I'm also recalled the old saying that if to err is human, and if you really want to mess things up, use technology to automate a bad process. So what about before you even collect data? I think sometimes people think big companies are sophisticated in how they manage their customer lists and that they've got these, incredible data sets about all their customers and they know everything and Big Brother's watching, but that's not really the case, is it, Ryne?
No. So a lot of times in big organizations, the data is spread across many systems. So a different business unit might collect their contact data one way in one system, and another business unit might collect it in a completely different place.
Yeah.
So a lot of what we do in terms of managing the client is we have to figure out where this data is coming from or get it in an organized structure.
So that's really one of the benefits we actually sometimes provide to our clients is we help them put together a better customer list, right, Rich? I know you've historically had the sample folks reporting up through you. What's your take on before you even begin data collection?
For me, the important thing to start off with is identifying where your data lives and who the owner is. So if people are running a basic study and you want these 3 fields that are important to your business and you go out to your Salesforce app and you see those fields right there, you know exactly where everything is, wonderful, we have a ball game. What happens in many cases, and like Ryne pointed out, is those fields are located in different systems. And not just different systems, they have different owners of those systems. So you have to get buy-in from those owners. You have to explain the project. You want to bring them in early so they're part of the project, not just asked to do a task, to really get the ball in play and get the ball rolling.
Yeah, a lot of times organizations have a good list of who they're billing but they may not have a good list of who's making the decisions or who influences those decisions. There's a lot of complexity in how you distribute customer data as well, and I know that technology plays a role there. Rich, can you talk a little bit about the reporting side and what are the complexities of getting some of the right information to the right people?
So the biggest complexity for me and where we spend a lot of time in the reporting process is making sure we have the right data up front. That's one thing that gets missed more than you can imagine, is everyone is so focused at the beginning of a program to launch a survey successfully and start collecting feedback that you miss one key piece of information, or in some cases, many key pieces of information that are located in different areas of the organization. In some cases, it's an easy fix. In some cases, it requires a lot of work. It requires redoing reports. That different break might lead to different insights and different actions that need to be taken. Again, that upfront planning can really help you in the reporting side. Another thing that just comes to mind when we're talking about reporting is something we touched on in the beginning, is getting the right data to the right people. I think one thing that I saw early in my career is that we had this valuable data and we wanted to get it out in front of everyone, but to a normal user, it was just too much, right?
Yeah.
But having the ability to focus that data, filter it down to just what's relevant for them and what can make their job easier and what can help them improve, I think is really important and really valuable now. And it's something that's worth spending some time to talk about up front, figure out the different user personas of who's going to be consuming your data so that you can define exactly what they need so that you're giving them the power to affect their role. And then you can also give them some insight into the overall organization, but giving them the power to do something that affects their role is very valuable.
Yeah, and actually that reminds me, in our first episode in this series, we talked with Brian Kovacs about, how we used to sell data by the pound, and we would really just overwhelm clients, and they'd have to sift through it. And I think that's another key aspect of what technology's been able to do, is to deliver the right information to the right people at the right time and not make them go look for that kind of information. Hey, Ryne, another pitfall is we get all excited, we do the survey, and then we come back a couple of years or a year later, and some of the contact information has attrited or it has become obsolete. Can you talk a little bit about the pitfalls of just maintaining that data?
Yeah, so as we know, the life cycle of companies and employees and hierarchies is in a constant state of change. So a common problem that we experience with our clients is a hierarchy file that literally could change every day.
Yep.
Salespeople joining, leaving the organization, changes in the structure, moving up and down throughout the organization. And our clients will want that structure reflected in the reports. So what we can do is we have some automated processes that we can help our clients through that challenge and push the data every day when we pull in that file. And that's something that can really overwhelm clients at first.
Yeah, that sounds like something that if you're trying to do this by yourself could become quite a headache.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So we've talked through some of the pitfalls and the mistakes and the things that happen through various aspects of the process. But maybe you could each take a moment here and share a success story, maybe something where the business issue was truly enhanced or solved with technology.
One of our clients, Pepsi, they had the problem of they weren't really sure who their contacts were because the deliveries would be made to gas stations and groceries, and those are industries that have employees that, well, you may not know what employee is working that shift,
Yep.
and they also have high turnover. So there's a number of reasons why you may not know who the contact is to survey about the experience of the delivery. So what we did is we built a custom application that the Pepsi employee can have on their iPad that can gather the contact information right either during that delivery or soon thereafter. And then from that app, we can send a experience survey to the contact, either via email or SMS, to get the experience of how the delivery went. It's really just an elegant solution to the problem of not knowing exactly who your contacts are.
Yeah, that's a really awesome solution, and I could see a lot of applications for that, especially for high transaction volume businesses. Rich, how about you? You got a case study or something that you think is particularly worthwhile highlighting?
Yeah, so one for me that comes to mind, so just thinking about the use of technology in a program, is Cisco Foods. So Cisco Foods is just using the technology that we have available to get as much information from their customers as possible. They have 2 fairly large programs that we're running through our managed services group. We're working on a site intercept with them for their ordering experience. They're doing some smaller projects on their own to answer business questions. We're collecting data directly from their CRM, from Salesforce, so that their employees don't have to enter the data in multiple places and they don't have to manage it in different areas. There's one source of truth when it comes to contact data. From a technology standpoint, I think that they have a good vision of how an overall program that involves multiple projects can really work, and they can leverage technology to make it happen.
That's awesome. Great stories. One other question for you guys, because again, you've come from a world where we were developing our own technology and lots of custom applications, and now we're operating off the Qualtrics platform. Could you just compare and contrast what's different and what advantages do we see about operating from a platform that spans the system from DIY all the way to highly complex?
So a DIY system is very appealing, and it lowers the barrier, so a lot more users can get their feet wet in the technology. But we've seen a lot of clients try to do extremely complicated things and trip over themselves just due to the complexity, due to contact list issues, survey complexity. We've had to come in at a later point and try to fix some of these issues when the program has already launched and there's been a few issues, which is a little bit harder to come back from. Actually,
that's a kind of a good lead-in, because in our next episode, we're actually going to talk with some of our friends at Qualtrics and sort of get their perspective. But I think one of the things that we're seeing is, and it goes back to this concept of beginning with the end in mind. It's always better to kind of set out a vision before you finalize your plans. And in many cases, I think that's why we would advocate that you combine the technology with the services, with the expertise of people that actually really know what they're doing. Hey, guys, any final thoughts, anything that you wanted to get in here that we didn't cover?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, so I think beginning with the end in mind is great. And think about the contact list. And if you're a large organization, if there's a way you can consolidate all your contacts into one location, that can really save the customer experience program some time. And also, to Rich's point from earlier about getting the information in the hands of the people that need it, we can push information to various systems. So we can set up custom integrations like push results to salesforce.com if you have a big sales team. That being said, the more integrations you have, the more lead time we will need, because typically there's a lot of red tape to set up all the connections that we need going forward.
Rich, final thoughts?
So from my perspective, I think one of the final thoughts I'd want to leave behind is don't be afraid to integrate. It becomes really valuable to your organization because the data and the quality of your data is so key. So being able to integrate with systems, so it's coming from a single source of truth, being able to integrate with your systems so you can put data in the hands of tools that the users use every day, that they're used to using, that they go to for other reasons and can just see the results there alongside of what they do every day, I think is really valuable. Another thing that just came to mind was that don't be afraid to sell your own program internally in your organization. We see a lot of times in these complex organizations, data is owned by different people in the organization. It's spread out in different areas. If you bring the people that own this data into the conversation up front, into the design conversation, get their input, make them part of the team versus giving them a task, I think it can save you time, energy, and frustration.
That's a great tip. Ryne Fanning and Rich Boits are both vice presidents of technology services here at Walker. They have a wealth of information. Gentlemen, thanks for being on the CX Leader podcast this week. If any of our listeners wanted to continue the dialogue, would you be comfortable in sharing an email or a phone number that they might be able to contact you at, Ryne?
Sure. Well, this is Ryne Fanning. You can find me on LinkedIn.
All right. As Ryne Fanning?
Yes.
Ryne like R-Y-N-E.
Yes.
Yeah. And Rich?
Yeah, and this is Rich Boits. You can find me in LinkedIn as well, and my email is rboits, B-O-I-T-S, @walkerinfo.com.
These are really, really solid guys when it comes to how you apply technology in your CX program, so I would encourage anybody with any questions to reach out. And if you want to talk about anything we've discussed or how Walker could help with your business's customer experience, you can contact me at steve.walker@walkerinformation.com, or you can call me here in the U.S. at 1-317-843-8890. Don't hesitate to reach out to me, Ryne, Rich, or any of the other great people here at Walker. We'd be happy to help you. Don't forget to subscribe to the CX Leader podcast. You can go to walkerinfo.com/podcasts and you'll find links to iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play. And we've just started posting our podcast to our YouTube channel as well. You can find those at youtube.com/walkerinformation. Thank you for listening to this episode of the CX Leader podcast, which is a production of Walker. We're a business consulting firm that can help you make customer experience your biggest competitive advantage. Find out more at walkerinfo.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.